Assalamu alaikum, how's it going? And welcome to a new episode of Fumeta Fukumi Otaku News. So, just like always, I'm going to talk about my coffee blog where I'm posting like exclusive content, like cool kids say these days. And most notably, I wrote an article regarding the Aikatsu PriPara 2025 anime movie that was announced just a few days ago, and this is a really huge deal. So I wrote like over 1000 words explaining like the series a little bit, and to be honest, this is maybe a little bit very specialist because these are series I've been following since their birth over 12 years ago, over 15 years ago now, in the early 2010s. So maybe if you never even heard about Aikatsu and Pretty Series and PriPara, it's maybe a little bit complicated, but I tried to explain like the basics for those who don't know anything about the series. So yeah, and they also published the reveal trailer for the movie. So like I said in the article, I'm pretty excited, but at the same time, like I'm like cautiously optimistic, and we'll see how it goes. So let's watch the trailer.
アイカツの大空あかりです。私たちからみんなに大ニュース。なんと、アイカツとプリパラのコラボ映画化が決定しました。今日が生まれ変わるセンス。
I should be talking when there's some songs in case I get strike or something. So I don't know how YouTube will react. So I should talk just in case. So the most interesting thing about this is how they say it will actually have an actual story. See, Kanzen original movie and then Shinsaku story and Shinsaku live. So it's not like a compilation movie with just some concert scenes, CG concert scenes. It's an actual movie with an actual story. So this is really interesting. Like I wonder what's going to happen, and you can see like this is the appeal from Aikatsu. So you have the two characters doing Aikatsu appeals, and then you have the two characters. They probably do some of the making dramas from PriPara as well. And they reveal the staff as well, so I'll talk about the staff as well, and how Masotabi Otobe Yoshihiro, who is the CG director of all Pretty series, is the one directing the movie, and like Tatsunoko is handling the 3D CG overall, and it's Aikatsu's anime 2D anime team who's doing the anime, and the writer in particular is the one of the main writer of PriPara. So like there's a mix. The director is from Aikatsu, is from Aikatsu, but the scenarist is from PriPara. So I think, in my opinion, it will feel more like PriPara than Aikatsu. And in particular, in the trailer, they're in PriPara world, like they're in the, I forgot how it's called in PriPara, but like in Prism Stone, like this is inside the PriPara world. So I guess the whole movie will be about Akari going into the PriPara world, or maybe there will be a point where Lala goes into Aikatsu's world as well. And the main audience for the movie is like the girls, the kids, and the girls who were watching this series 10 years ago and who became adults now, and that's even what they explicitly say in the trailer. So in a way, it's not like I'm the target audience because I was already an adult back when Prettyism and Aikatsu was airing. But like I say in my article, like Prettyism is my best anime of the 2010 decade and of the current decade too, because Prettyism is continuing with the King of Prism movies. So yeah, like I'm really excited for this. The movie is going to release in fall 2025 in Japanese theaters. Sadly, I'm not in Japan, so I won't be able to watch it until the disc release. But you know, this is very big news. Like I talked about the stuff a little bit in the article, so if you're interested, please check it out. So yeah, that's like extremely big news, but that's sadly I'm spending time to talk about it because I don't think any other site or any other YouTuber or any other anything will talk about it in a like in a flattering way or like with so much detail as how I can do it, because I used to blog about Pretty Series and Aikatsu like over 10 years ago for like 6 or 7 years or something. So I know both series pretty well, even if I actually still haven't watched the Aikatsu series past the original one. And PriPara as well, I still haven't watched season 4, and I gotta finish watching the rest of Pretty Series as well. Like, Watcha Primaji and Himitsu no Aipri, I still haven't watched a single episode of this series, so I gotta check them out at some point. So yeah, that's like a really very, very exciting news, and like I'm hoping this is going to be a pretty good movie with a lot of character interaction. And like over 10 years ago, my blog, I used to say I want to see Todo Shion and Kamiya Shion fighting each other and something like that. Like I don't think this will happen in the movie because I'm not even sure if all the characters will even appear. Like I guess maybe Lala, Mirei, Sophie, and then Dressing Parfait, Doroshi, Leona, Shion. And like I don't think other PriPara characters besides the original 6 will even appear. And same for Aikatsu, I think Akari, I forgot the name of her, like her purple friend, and like the other, like she's a trio, right, Akari. So maybe they will show, maybe Ichigo will show up in a scene, but like I'm not expecting many Aikatsu characters to show up either. So we'll see how it goes. On Caesar's second trailer, they opened a Twitter account. They opened the Twitter accounts for further info. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to what's going to happen with this. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is Super Robot Wars Y, which had Japanese live streams with a lot of new information. And I'm planning to make a summary article which will be behind my Chair 2 coffee contents paywall. So if you're interested in that, you should check it out. But in this video, I'm just gonna go do a quick summary of the information they said. So first we got a release date. So the game will be out in August 28th, 2025. And they revealed the full series lists in the game as well. So we most probably have Gundam Suisei no Majo, The Witch from Mercury, Season 1, and Endless Waltz, Seed Destiny, G Gundam, CCA, Erdgeim, Dunbine OVA, Dunbine TV series, Yusha Raijin, Combattler, Geta Robo Arc, Magipri, Majestic Prince, Macross Delta, which is the first time it's in a home console Super Robot Wars, Code Geass movie, Godzilla Singular Point, and Dynazenon. So there's several things to point out. First is how they talk about the stream. In the stream, they talk about a lot of things. And the biggest thing they said is how since the release of Searchy in 2021, they were planning to make a new game immediately, but they wanted to change game engines first. So it's why it took so long for this game, for Super Robot Wars Y to be announced and to release, and how the next game will not take that long, because they explained basically this was a big important step they had to take for the future of the series. So that's why it took so much time, but like next time it won't take as long. So it also explained why, like, sadly there aren't any series from this last two and past year. Like there's no, they didn't put the Gundam Seed movie yet. There's no Gundam Mercury Season 2. Like there's no, like there's a few, there's Braveon, or like I definitely expected Braveon to be in the next Super Wars game because it's an incredibly popular mecha series, but it turns out it's not in, because yeah, this is something the supervisor of the series, Terada Takanobu, explained several times in the past, in how it's actually extremely complicated for Bandai Namco to negotiate the copyrights of every series to put them into the Super Robot Wars game, and how it's much more complicated than what we can imagine. And in particular, whenever you think, oh, that's kind of sad that this series or this series or this series is not in the game, like obviously if you're thinking this, the developers thought about the same thing as well, but sadly they couldn't put the series into the game. And most notably, for example, here we have Yusha Raiden. So obviously when you have Raijin, like having Raxephon would have been really cool, right? But sadly, Raxephon is not in the game. So yeah, I'm not going to show you the full trailer because you probably have already seen it by now. And another important thing is how they explain during the live stream how they completely changed the UI of the game, because this is another thing like they wanted to change. They explain on stream how like they didn't want it to change the essence of the series, but at the same time they realized that there are many things that were very difficult for newcomers, and most notably the menus and the UI. So this is the first about past game where they actually changed all the UI completely. So apparently it's going to be much easier to use and much easier to understand now. And the other thing they explained is how there's a brand new system now called Assist Link, which is basically all the non-combatant characters, all the support characters and the sub characters from every series will have specific skills and like specific like effects you will be able to select, and like after every mission, if you use them, they will gain experience and they will level up in rank. And here is in rank 1. The max is rank 4, and they explain on the stream like when you get a character to rank 4, they will get a new illustration. So it's kind of similar to Soshage, like limit breaks in Soshage. It's kind of similar in a way. And they explained that they're doing this because like a lot of series have a lot of sub characters and characters that don't necessarily pilot mecha, so sadly you can't play as them, but thanks to this system you will still get the feeling of raising these characters. So this is why they got the idea to get this system, because apparently it's one of the things that Japanese players will talk about in surveys that they made for the game. And they also explained how the mission select system from the mission select system from 30 is coming back, but this time it's actually much better because they actually added a flow chart. So there's a mission chart now. So for example, you can see which mission is connected to which mission, and for example, if you do this mission, it's best to do like this before because it's before on the flow chart, and you know which, like you know everything, like the setting, like the mandatory deployment units, etc. And another thing is how there's a new director and a new producer, but they are not actually new because they explained that they were both working on the series for many years. And in particular, the director of the game, he introduced himself here. I think it was over here. The director of the game during the live stream. These were the live stream had pre-recorded parts and live part. This was a pre-recorded part. Whenever they were talking about the game in detail, it was pre-recorded. So this is a new producer. His name is Touma Kouta, and you have the director at the right, and his name is Fukugawa Katsumaku. Touma Kouta is the director, sorry. Touma Kouta is the director, and the producer is Ogura Wataru. So in the middle, you have Touma Kouta as the director, and at the right you have the Ogura Wataru is the producer. Ogura Wataru in particular, he explained how he's actually working. They're both working on the series for like from decades. Like Ogura Wataru is the director of the game, and he explained he worked at Banpresto and BB Studio, and then Bandai Namco Forge since Alpha 3. So this was over 20 years ago. So even if technically he's a new director, he's not actually new. Like he's a veteran who's been working on the series for over 20 years. So I think the series should be in good hands, and like I'm definitely looking forward to what's going to happen with this game. But yeah, sadly, the one maybe sad thing is how the series are all like kind of old, and I've seen some fans speculate and say maybe it's actually going to be a Y2, but personally I don't think it's going to happen. And like like I wouldn't bet on it, but like we'll see how it goes. And they also explained a few details regarding the series as well. Regarding Mazinkaiser, on the live stream, they explained how Mazinkaiser for the units, it's the original Banpresto Mazinkaiser, the Mazinkaiser that Superbot was invented, but for the characters and for the story, is going to be the Mazinkaiser Ankoku Daishogun OVA. So basically, this is going to be the characters from the early 2000 OVA, but piloting the mecha, the original Mazinkaiser units that Banpresto invented when they actually made Mazinkaiser, because if you're watching this video, you probably already know, but Mazinkaiser were actually invented by Superbot Wars, and then they made manga and anime about it. But it's the first appearance of Mazinkaiser was in Superbot Wars, I think. Maybe Shin Superbot Wars or maybe Alpha, I don't remember. But yeah. And similarly to that, so they also explained how for Code Geass, the director of the game during the live stream, he explained how Code Geass, they will actually do all the story of the Lelouch of the Resurrection movie, the Katsuno Lelouch movie. They will actually do all its story in this game, because in 30 they didn't actually do everything. It was like just the beginning part or something. But like he explained this time that the story will actually focus on the Katsuno Lelouch movie. So yeah, and I think that's everything, right? And they also revealed the OG characters and pilots. So yeah, you have Wataru Watanabe designing them. He was the character designer on V and also on Masuki Shin F. So like he's been working on the series for like 7-8 years now, regularly making new characters. And on the Cross Omega gacha game especially, he was making all the characters. He was the main designer for that. So this is pretty funny because like you have the male protagonist who is like very experienced, and you have the female protagonist who's like inexperienced, and she's like a newcomer ninja who makes mistakes. So they're kind of opposites. And you also have a heroine character, and with a battleship. The battleship is kind of like the Macross, because they explain on the stream that the battleship has a city inside it, so it's kind of the same concept as the Macross. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm hoping the next game after that will have even more series like the Gundam Seed movie, like Dynazenon, and like Gridman Universe, and like Braven, etc. Hopefully it will all be in the next game. So yeah, that's all for Cyber Wars, I think. I pretty much covered everything, I think. Like, I don't think I forgot anything, right? Yes. Oh yeah, and the last thing, like I will detail all this in my summary, in my article summary, but another interesting thing in the stream they mentioned is how there's no actual damage calculations, like final damage is displayed when you attack. That's another thing that they mentioned. But this is bit different compared to past games in how you didn't know how much damage you will do, but now you can see actually in advance. But they also explain that it's not like 100% accurate, because it doesn't take into account critical hits and critical damage. So this is a better estimate that what you had in past games, but it's not real 100% real estimates either. It's just an estimate. It doesn't take into account critical damage. So this is another big change compared to past Super Wars game. I think this is something a lot of newcomers would appreciate, because this makes it much easier to planify. They didn't talk about the game difficulty at all, so hopefully maybe they will make it so it's a bit more challenging than the past games these past 6-7 years. Like besides Moon Duelos, beside OG Moon Duelos, all the Super Wars games, V, X, T, and 30, they were extremely easy overall. So Maybe they will change that, but like we'll see. They didn't talk about the game difficulty at all, so we have to wait until the next stream, or maybe until the game release. Another thing they explained is how now units, transformable units, will be able to transform, move, and then transform back to attack. So for example, the Zeta Gundam in Wave Rider, you can transform it into Wave Rider mode to move further because it's a plane, so it moves further. And then before attacking, you can transform back into the humanoid form, so it is a big change. And they explained how the battle animations, they will actually have some battle animations where the unit transforms as well, so this is something like this. But yeah, and they said a lot of smaller stuff that I will try and detail in my summary article. I should have it out in a few days, inshallah. So the next thing I wanted to bring up is how Gakuen Idolmaster Gakumas is going to celebrate its first anniversary soon in May 16, and they did several announcements for what's going to happen for the first anniversary, and most notably they're going to add the first ever idol unit live in the game. So it's going to be called Ri-Iris. It's a tricolor, like the traffic lights girls, right? It's Tsukimura Temari, Fujita Kotone, and Hana Misaki, red, yellow, and blue. They published a roadmap for the anniversary. They're going to add a live CG scene with them, with all three, with the Ri-Iris idol unit. And this is the idol unit that they create in the Hatsuboshi Komyu. And Hatsuboshi Komyu is one of the many different canon storylines in the game, because this is just like UmaMusu and just like several Japanese franchise, in how there's no real canon. There's several timelines and they're all canon. And basically, this could be considered the main story of Gakumas. This is a story when the player-producer becomes the producer of all three Tsukimura Temari, Fujita Kotone, and Hana Misaki, red, yellow, blue, when they form a unit together and the player becomes their producer. And this is the Hatsuboshi Komyu, and the final episode of this story is going to be released in May 1st. So this is going to be the final episode, but I assume they will probably continue this storyline in a future chapter, in a future storyline at some point. But yeah, this is going to be the final chapter of this storyline, where they form the Ri-Iris idol unit and they do their first ever concert, and they will add it in the game. And it's very interesting because back when Gakuen Idolmaster was announced, in the live streams pre-release that I translated, the producer was explaining that the reason why they focused on one idol and one solo concerts only was because the 3D models of the characters are very detailed, and they wanted to focus on the charisma and like the appeal of a single solo idol instead of doing units and groups just like every past Idolmaster game before. So but now it seems that slowly, progressively, they will start on adding groups as well. So they're going to add the first ever group live in the game. And the other news is how they will add another new character pretty soon. They will add Hataya Misuzu. Hataya Misuzu is going to be playable on May. I think it was May. I wrote it down here. May 16. May 16, Hataya Misuzu will become playable. And just like Sena and just Hanami Ume, she's one of the three characters, like Sena, Misuzu, and Ume. There were the three characters that were present in the various storylines available since the game has been released, but they weren't playable yet. So first they added Ume, and then they added Sena for the 6-month anniversary, so the half anniversary, and now they're going to add Misuzu for the first anniversary of the game. So Misuzu, she's like, I'm not gonna spoil much, but basically she's one of the characters who was on the team Temari was on before the beginning of the story. she used to form an idol units trio with Temari and a third girl. So she's a pretty interesting character in my opinion, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her own story because yeah, in Gakumas, you have several storylines, and one of the storylines is how when you become a producer of a specific idol, this is a specific story focused on this idol with its own timeline in a way. So I'm looking forward to what her timeline will be about basically, and how her relationship with Temari evolves in this timeline in a way. So yeah, I'm trying to stream the game whenever I can, and I'm planning to write my impressions on each of the timelines and each of the storylines and each of the characters. So if you're interested, you should check out on my Ko-fi the articles I'm doing about Gakumas. So they publish a short teaser trailer for Misuzu as well. Just like every character, they always publish short teaser before they get released. So she's a short teaser for Misuzu and her first CG concert. And I'm gonna keep talking at the same time because yeah, as always, when it comes to songs and trailers, I don't know if YouTube is going to strike me or not. So I'd best keep talking whenever there's a song or some stuff like that. So yeah, May 16th is going to release, and I really like Sena, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like her story a lot as well. So I'm gonna try and see if I can stream it. And they also published like a short teaser for Re-Iris as well. So yeah, I wonder if maybe they upgraded the game and maybe they can handle 3D models at the same time now, because they say that each model has so many polygons that they could only handle one model, so that's why they're focusing on solo idols. But now they're going to do 3. Like I assume 3 is going to be the maximum. I don't think they will showcase idol units with more than 3 members in the game. Probably not. So yeah, this is Re-Iris, and like their story, like the Hatsuboshi Komyu, the first, like you could say, main story in a way, is going to end with their formation, but I'm sure they will like release another new timeline at some point that will focus on their activities as a group from now on. So you should look forward to this, I guess. Like I really like the game overall, so I try to stream it whenever I can to do a few runs. Ideally, I want to stream myself playing through each timeline and share my opinions and share my impressions on each timeline. So like if you're interested, you should check out my Ko-fi for the articles and my streams for whenever I stream the game. So, Cygames has finally announced a release date for the English version of UmaMusu Pretty Derby. So, I'm pretty sure the English version was first announced like many years ago, like at least 2 or 3 years ago, back in a financial report by Cygames. They announced that an English version was coming. It was before even the Korean version was released, so it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and now we finally have a release date. The game will be out in English in June 26th, and at the same time they also announced a Steam port, so people who play the game in Japan will be able to transfer if they have a Japanese Steam account, they'll be able to transfer their account on Steam from DMM to Steam, or like from other platforms to Steam. So yeah, this is pretty cool because like I'm hoping more people will try out the game and like maybe they'll like it and see what's the big deal and why it's so popular in Japan. Like this is one of the most popular franchises in Japan right now, this last 5 years, because the game was delayed many times before it finally released. So you already had the first TV anime that aired before the game was even released. So yeah, like I'm really excited for that people will finally be able to actually play the game. And personally, I've been playing the game in Japanese with the DMM version, but at the same time, because it's in Japanese, I barely actually did a lot of runs for like many years. Like I only log in and then I log out. I actually don't play the game because I don't have the time either. So I don't know if maybe I will pick up the English version or not. Like I'm not sure, I don't know. So yeah, this is all for this episode, and thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe and check out the Ko-fi as well. Thanks for watching. See you later, bye.